Yo, what's going on, guys? It's C-Brev. Welcome to the very first video for MLB The Show 24. It is a brand new season of MLB The Show, and with that comes a brand new journey building your team up from scratch. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through everything you should be doing day one in Diamond Dynasty to improve your team as efficiently as possible. This video is going to come from the perspective of a no money spent player, and we're really going to focus on where you should spend your time to improve your team and how you can get your squad ranked ready as soon as possible. So there are quite a few changes to how content works this year, specifically around Team Affinity, which we'll get into later. When you first load into Diamond Dynasty, you're definitely going to want to head over to the other programs first. There is a starter program which rewards you with an 85 Rafael Palmeiro and an 86 Sandy Alcantara. It is my recommendation that you do absolutely nothing in this program and you just leave it alone. If you're planning on playing both offline and online modes at any point, you will complete this entire program passively. And that's really one of the themes with content this year. It's going to be a lot easier to complete things passively as you're just playing the game. The entire program is only 50 stars long, and you can get 20 stars from multiplayer missions and 20 stars from single player missions. And they are insanely easy, like tally 3 strikeouts. Additionally, these tasks for collect unlockables and collect bat skins will just be given to you throughout the program. There are at least 3 collectibles and 1 bat skin in here. Also, this 85 Rafael Palmeiro is a pretty good card right out the gate. Anyway, like I said, if you're going to be playing most modes in Diamond Dynasty, I wouldn't even look at this program. I would not do the moments. I would not do the showdown. I would not do the exchanges. You absolutely don't need to. Just by playing the game, you're going to get this done no matter what. So just wanted to get that out of the way in the beginning before some of you maybe load into it. Where you are really going to want to focus your time right away is this Spring Breakout Program. This other program rewards 7 diamond cards, and the last 4 are extremely viable. They're right up there with the Team Affinity cards. So this is absolutely where I would start if I was starting my team from scratch. This is more of a traditional other program where you've got moments and missions and a showdown. Again, gonna be easier to grind things passively this year. There's a repeatable PXP mission, 500 PXP with Spring Breakout series. That gives 5 points every time. But generally what we're looking for here is to acquire a couple of the players first and then knock out these individual player missions. You can see the hitters have 150 PXP missions and the pitcher has a 300 PXP mission. So the process here is going to be to get a couple cards, throw them in your lineup, and then knock out these missions. So that being said, you're going to want to hop right into the moments for this program and knock them all out. The first 4 are traditional moments. They're going to give you 12 points in total, which is already going to get you to the 85 Kyle Manzardo. And the 5th mission is an optional extreme moment which rewards 9 points. Now I know this can be intimidating, but I absolutely recommend doing this moment if you can, no matter what. I think it's 100% worth it. It's going to help with the rest of the program a lot. Even if it takes you like half an hour to an hour to finish this moment, I still think it's worth it. Completing this moment is going to give you 9 points, which is going to take your points acquired from moments from 12 to 21, which means if you do all the moments including the extreme moment, you're going to get Kyle Manzardo and Termarr Johnson. By the way, both of these cards extremely good diamonds right out of the gate. Manzardo just even across the board, very solid card, and Termarr Johnson also very good at second base and shortstop. So already just from the moments, you're going to have 2 diamonds to put on your team. And next we're going to want to take a look at the showdown. So I know showdown can be unpopular at times. I do want to say you don't have to do this showdown to complete the program, but again, it's going to help your progress a lot. Also, the showdown is not as scary as it looks. It's actually only 3 events. So realistically, you could knock out this showdown in like 15 minutes. I recommend doing both the extreme moment and the showdown right away. If you don't do the extreme moment though, I would absolutely recommend you do the showdown right away, just so you can at least get Termarr Johnson. But if you do the moments, do the showdown, you're going to end up at 36 points, and that's going to get you an 85 catcher in Harry Ford. So this is really just the catalyst that gets the snowball going for the rest of this program. Once you're at this point, you just put these 3 cards in your lineup and you just play with them. You're going to be able to knock out their 3 individual hitter missions. Along the way, just from that, you're going to hit this repeatable mission at least once. So already from there, you're looking at 56 points in the program if you did the showdown in the moments, which means you're going to get Misiorowski and you're going to get James Wood. And also, you're going to be knocking out these general missions along the way, total bases with catchers from any series, first baseman, extra base hits, etc. Long story short, not only are these cards good to add to your team right away, but they allow you to work through the program even even faster the more of them that you have. And as I said earlier, these last 4 cards in the program, Misiorowski, Wood, Montgomery, and Crews, are already up there with Team Affinity rewards. I think they're extremely good. You could be looking at using them for a couple weeks at least. So completing this program in its entirety is highly recommended, and the way you're going to do that is get the first 3 cards, put them in your lineup, and then just grind the rest of it passively. Cool, that was kind of a lot for the Spring Breakout program, but I did want to just emphasize that because that's absolutely the best way to start out. After that, you have several options. There's Team Affinity and there's storylines. There's also just playing whatever mode you want. As a no money spent player, the meat of what you're going to want to be focusing on throughout Season 1 is Team Affinity. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot more ways to grind through these things passively this year. There's tons of multiplayer missions. There's tons of single player missions. So playing whatever mode you want really is an option to grind Team Affinity this year. If you just hop into Battle Royale, you're going to be getting progress for these missions just from the cards that you use. However, Team Affinity is going to be the primary way that you build the best team possible that you can, no money spent, early on. So with that being said, let's talk about storylines, and I promise this ties in with Team Affinity that I was just talking about. First of all, both storylines are awesome. You should play them. The videos are amazing. They're 2 completely different feels of storylines and great documentary style gameplay. However, for this video specifically, I'm just going to be speaking on how efficient they are for building your team. The NGL storylines are great. They do reward an 85 overall for each of the 4 players available at launch. However, this is not where I would be spending my time, mostly because these cards are not associated with a team in game. They're all free agents, and because they are free agents in game, that means when you're accumulating stats with them, they're not actually counting for any Team Affinity progress. And again, Team Affinity is going to be our primary focus, so the fact that these cards don't really help you with that is definitely a big detriment. The Derek Jeter storyline is a bit more interesting because this does reward you with quite a few cards throughout. There's an 81 Jeter, there's an 85 Pettit, there's an 84 Greg Maddux. I think all of the card rewards from this are Yankees except for Maddux, so that's going to give you a huge catalyst for the AL East Team Affinity grind. So it's really up to you if you want to do this to get the cards to put them in your lineup. It definitely will help. However, it is going to take a lot of time. So where does that leave us, and what am I actually getting at here? Well, right away, even though you can grind Team Affinity a lot more passively this year, I do think it's best to focus on it and attack it right away, especially if you don't have any cards to fall back on. You can do these moments, which will reward you with initial progress, and that will actually get you these 4 live series players packs, which are a bit more valuable than you think. This is actually 8 bronze and silver cards from the actual division that you want to use, so this can help like boost your team up from bronzes to silvers a little bit, get you a little bit more viable as you head into the next modes. But there are 3 primary ways to grind Team Affinity intentionally this year, and I'm going to recommend one of them to you. The first one is playing multiplayer modes. This is great. It's probably the fastest way. If you want to just hop into events, that's probably the fastest way. The other way is actually Showdown. There's a Team Affinity Showdown which rewards 4 vouchers in total for completion. They're also spread out along the way, so if you happen to lose early, you can still walk away with something. Completing the Showdown in its entirety is going to give you 4 vouchers, which equates to 11,200 points, and it's repeatable. You can do it as many times as you want. The third way to intentionally work through Team Affinity is actually through Conquest, and this is the one I'm going to be recommending for this video. I think there is a lot of upside to doing these Conquest maps over the Showdown. First of all, these maps usually have some additional packs scattered throughout, so when you complete the whole map, you're going to be getting additional goodies. Also, in Showdown, you're not actually accumulating any stats that work towards some of these single player and repeatable missions, whereas in Conquest you are. So Conquest is a huge opportunity to double dip with both missions and progress in Team Affinity, and the actual completion of the map itself counts towards 2 divisions instead of 1. This is the TA East Conquest map, so it's going to give you 30,000 for the AL East and the NL East at the same time when you finish. You can see some of the repeatable missions you're going to be working through as you grind Conquest, and these are big chunks of progress. You know, 30 hits is 10,000, 20 home runs is 15,000, 30 strikeouts is 10,000. Also, with the way these maps shake out, sometimes you are going to be playing some games on All-Stars, so this additional All-Star mission is definitely obtainable. I think it's completely realistic that when you finish the Conquest map, you're going to be close to 60,000 points and the first TA boss, just from the additional progress you're going to be getting from the missions along the way. And remember, as you're playing these games with those Spring Breakout cards in your lineup, you're going to be knocking out progress for that program as well. So just a lot of really good reasons to work through these Conquest maps. And really with Team Affinity in general, once you get to the first boss pack at 60,000 this year, things are really going to open up and get a lot easier. The reason being, there are repeatable missions for just the bosses. So this is a repeatable mission for the AL East. Tally 20 total bases with a boss. 20 total bases is pretty easy to get to, and it's 15,000, and you're probably going to be using these cards anyway because they're some of the best available to you as a no money spent player early on. So once you get that first boss card at 60,000, you're going to be rolling. Things are going to get a lot easier, and the way we're going to get through that first 60,000 is to do moments if you need the bronze and silver cards for that division, and then knock out the conquest map. Obviously you have a choice between the 3 conquest maps, the east, the central, and the west, of which one you want to attack first. Obviously take a look at the boss choice packs in all 6 divisions and decide which cards you want to target. You can also keep in mind which positions will be filled from the Spring Breakout cards, and that can kind of help a little bit. What you'll be missing, even if you complete the whole Spring Breakout program, is 1 third baseman / shortstop and 1 outfielder, if that helps at all. And I will be posting an additional video breaking down all 30 of these Team Affinity cards, what I think about them, and which ones I think are the best. So I know that was a lot of info, but I really wanted to break everything down specifically and kind of give you the mindset behind the way we're doing things, just so you know you're not wasting your time and you're spending your time in the most efficient areas. So to recap, you're going to want to get into Diamond Dynasty, go to other programs. You're going to completely ignore the starter program. You'll knock it out passively. Then you're going to want to start working on the Spring Breakout program. You're going to want to do the 4 traditional moments, and I highly recommend you work through the optional moment. This will get you to 21 points, which gets you the first 2 cards. Then I also recommend doing the showdown, which will get you the 3rd card. Put all 3 of these cards in your lineup, then decide which TA conquest map you want to work on, whether that's the east, central, or west. Pick a division you want a card from. Take a look at your roster. If you need additional cards from that division, or you just need silvers over bronzes because the game gives you bronzes at the start, then do the divisional moments so you can get these initial packs that have 4 live series players in them. Add those cards to your team, ideally they're silvers, and then start working your way through these conquest maps. You're going to get additional packs along the way. You're going to be knocking out single player missions, and you're going to be getting a lot of progress. Once you get your first boss at 60,000 points for each division, things are going to open up a lot, and it's going to become a lot easier, and from there on you're cruising. I did want to mention, as I mentioned briefly earlier, that playing online is actually probably the fastest way to do this. If you want to just hop into events with like bronzes and silvers and knock out some of these multiplayer missions, that is absolutely an option. You're going to get 8,400 TA points just for 8 innings pitched online, and that's on top of all these other missions you have at your disposal. Also, the event allows a lot of the players that you're going to have, and it's on All-Stars, so it's a bit easier to hit, which means the missions are going to be easier to knock out. The reason I actually recommend Conquest instead, or generally, is because when you go into these online games, you're probably going to want a team that's competitive, and when you're starting out with absolutely nothing, it's a lot easier to beat the computer in Conquest than it is to beat someone online. That being said, though, these are stat-based missions which wins and losses don't interact with, so just hopping into events with bronzes is absolutely going to work. For this video, though, I think you should do Conquest, at least until you have a team that can compete in the event games. So that's going to do it for the video. I hope it was helpful and insightful. I hope it gives you some direction as you start your new journey in MLB The Show 24. Excited for these Spring Breakout cards, man. They're new. They're going to be fun. A lot of big names. I appreciate you all watching the video. Take care, and we'll see you next time.